Welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast, along with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Klingler. My name is Curt Van Hecken, and you are tuning in to the collared shirt edition of the Attack the Rack podcast. Ryan, you've got a really nice look going there today. You go no t-shirt.
I do, no t-shirt, a little chain there, Curt, for you.
And that was a Greg Norman?
That's a little Greg Norman.
You're wearing Greg Norman today?
Yeah. Why not, right? Live it up.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sipping on a cocktail here. Shout out to my cuz Fuzz.
I'm going with the afternoon black coffee, Curt.
You know it. Welcome to the Attack the Rack podcast. I am your host, Curt Van Hecken, and you are tuning in to the number one rated podcast on the planet, based on the people that rated it number one. The Attack the Rack podcast is brought to you by Get to 2 Media. I want to start the show off with announcing the winner of our top 3 from last week. So the community voted, and the winner is best fast food sandwich. The winner is the Whopper.
Oh, classic.
I mean, that was your choice, but I guess I was a little surprised that the Whopper was going to, be the top choice.
Flame broiled, your way.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Right. And again, as you mentioned, we didn't give any Chick-fil-A options or Popeye options. So it'd be interesting to see where the Whopper would fall in line if we didn't include Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. Ryan, we're going to do the top 3 again today. Stay tuned towards the end of the program, and we will do the second round of the top 3. All right, Ryan. So you had knee surgery on Friday.
Yeah, just a short couple days ago, Curt.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
I'm not feeling too bad. A little stiff in the joint area.
Okay.
The surgery area, the holes they make for the arthroscopic portion are a little sore and tender. But overall, putting some weight on it, getting out, moving around a little bit. It's about, I'm going to say about another week before I try to do anything too crazy. But so we'll take it easy this week and see if it can't get back to almost normal.
Well, Ryan, you haven't taken any days off work. I really appreciate you showing up to work today. A big day here recording the podcast.
Wouldn't miss it, Curt.
Yeah, well, and certainly if you do need a day or two off, totally understandable. Just obviously get with producer Dale. He can hook you up with who you need to talk to in HR, and it'll be no problem.
Good.
No problem.
Glad they're flexible down there.
Yeah. Hey, we got some video though of you walking into the hospital and walking out.
Okay, sure.
And I would love to I want to play first. I want to play you walking into the hospital, and I want to know what you're kind of thinking, and then we'll play the video of you afterwards. Producer Dale, can you get that fired up for us? All right, ready? I think he's got it.
He's got it. Okay. What are we doing? Like play-by-play here, Curt?
Yeah, so here you are. You're walking in. What's going through your mind right now?
Well, you can tell right now I got a pretty good limp. The knee, it would not handle some weight-bearing walking. Got a little glitch, a little hitch in the old giddy-up, as they say. And right now I'm thinking, hey, in and out, no problem. Let's get this taken care of.
Yeah.
Give me a little thumbs up there as I walk in.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, and then now curious, now you went through the surgery. Now you're on your way out. Let's roll the film. Producer Dale, of Ryan exiting the hospital, and let's see what you're thinking here. There he is.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't remember this exactly.
Really?
Well, not completely. I really almost forgot that I walked out in a wheelchair or got rolled out in a wheelchair. I was feeling pretty good and not much pain. A little tender, a little sore. But overall, a great procedure.
Yeah.
The doctors and the nurses over there at Zeeland Hospital were awesome. I will say, probably the poignant part of my surgery was getting my IV in. I think I had to get stabbed twice with the needles. They couldn't get the needle through my vein.
And I know how much you hate needles.
And I hate. Oh no, trust me. I was quickly sitting flat on my back because I was starting to heat up and get a little lightheaded as she was explaining that the needle would not quite poke into my vein. It was in the skin just fine. But, so they ended up having to put it in a different area, a little bit above my or below my what's that right here?
Elbow. Or the inside,
inside
the crease.
Crease there. So but luckily it was fine. I did not pass out from that. And,
all right.
So I'm feeling like a new man, I guess.
Awesome. Well, happy to hear it all went well. Happy to hear that you're feeling well. Hopefully the recovery will be short and sweet.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, we got a lot of rain the last couple of days here.
Really? I don't know, Kurt.
Yeah.
I know you were outside when I was out. I was out.
You were
out resting and trying to obey my doctor's orders.
Yeah. Well, hey, Ryan. Speaking of rain, a great way to protect yourself from the rain is umbrella. When I'm outside and it's raining and I don't want to be hit by all those raindrops, I use umbrella. And you should too. All right, Ryan. Probably one of the bigger sports topics since we last did the podcast, NBA draft. Any initial thoughts overall on the draft?
I don't think there were a ton of surprises early on from what I watched it on Thursday night there. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama was the kind of the consensus number one pick by the Spurs there. I'll be interested to see. Not seeing a ton of his footage. Obviously, he's got all the tools of an NBA type player. Kind of reminds me a little bit maybe of a Kevin Durant. Obviously, even bigger. Maybe more of a forward type player, but they say he can guard all 5 positions. I know exactly. I think his. I think for us being a little old school, we'd worry about his strength a little bit, his stockiness. He's a little bit on the thinner side. But it's a new age NBA out there, so if you can score it, you can probably become a pretty good player. I think he can score it, he can shoot it, score at all 3 levels, like they say. And so it'll be interesting to see how he does in the summer ball and what type of role he picks up with the Spurs this year.
Yeah, I don't know, Ryan, when you said he can guard all 5 positions, I can't see him guarding a point guard. I know he's got that long wingspan, but to get down and guard someone who's pretty quick and fast, I don't see that happening.
I saw one highlight where he was guarding the number 3 pick, Scoot
Henderson.
Maybe Henderson, and he blocked his shot on the perimeter once or twice.
Blocked his shot on the perimeter.
Well, I think he has the ability to really sit off the perimeter guy and still be able to contest a jumper, which gives him the ability probably to guard those multiple positions. From what I've seen in her,
that does make sense. But I just feel like if one of these really fast, quick guards was going to attack the rack, I find it hard to believe that he would be able to contain them. But like you said, he can play off a little bit because he's got that wingspan.
Yeah, it's 7'2" plus probably like a 7.
I think it's like 7'4".
7'4" plus probably like an 8 foot type of wingspan.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see, right?
Well, what kind of do you think he's going to make an immediate impact? Do you think he's going to take a couple of years? Do you think he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer? Do you think he's not going to be very good? What do you think?
I think he's going to make an impact. So I think the Spurs were not very successful this year, right? So I'm sure Coach Popovich down there will find a way to kind of like introduce him into the team atmosphere. I think it's way too early to probably say he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I know probably the draft analysis was he's probably a can't miss type guy, but until you get on the floor and you got to compete, he's obviously done it at a high level overseas for a young kid, and he's still only 19. But I think he's going to be a very good player to begin with. Whether I don't know if that'll be an all NBA type player or an all star, but I think he obviously can score, being 7'4". He's going to be on the side of like he can do multiple things with the ball: pass, shoot, score, handle it. So he's going to be successful. I guess it probably is up to him and the Spurs on how successful he's going to be individually.
Yeah, I don't know, Ryan. I just don't know. I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction, and I'm going to say he's going to have a nice kind of lengthy career, 10, 12, 15-year career, but I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star.
Wow.
I think he will definitely provide. I mean, he definitely will fill a much-needed role on a roster throughout his career, because I think he will be good enough to get minutes and be in a rotation with an NBA team. But I don't see him being a consistent starter in the NBA, and I don't think he will ever even play in an All-Star game. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be, once his rookie contract expires, he's going to be out of the league and playing back overseas. I'm not saying that, but that's my bold prediction.
All right. Well, I will disagree. I think he's probably going to have a very solid NBA career. He's going to be the stud on the Spurs, so he's going to have a chance to probably be an All-Star at some point. How quickly that comes, I'm not sure, or how quickly that goes into even more of a Hall of Fame type talk. But he's got all the tools, so I just don't know how quickly he'll get to those levels. But I think he gets there sometime.
Hey, what do you think then? I mean, are the Spurs right now all of a sudden a playoff team right off the bat?
Probably not in the West, Curt. The West is pretty loaded. I think you could handpick a couple other teams. Obviously, Denver having everybody back for another year, make another run at it there. No, I don't know if they're. I think they could probably push for a playoff spot. I don't know where they finish this year exactly, but I'm sure he puts them in contention of at least making the playoffs.
Okay. Well, and speaking of the West, big move in the West from the Phoenix Suns to the Golden State Warriors, Mr. Chris Paul, one of the all-time great point guards. What does he do now for the Golden State Warriors?
Ooh, Curt, that's an inside one where you're just going to wait to see kind of how that plays out. I think if you talk to people, Chris Paul probably a little more of a slow down at this point in his career, control the game type point guard, playing with Clay and Steph, where things probably want to be sped up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how they can combine their ways to play basketball. I think what Chris does give you is some veteran leadership. Obviously, maybe brings a little bit more team dynamic. Maybe heals some of the wounds that the Warriors faced this year in the team side of things, which is probably could help them. I mean, I think they're going to be able to compete for a championship.
Well, I mean, you say he brings some veteran leadership, not to make us feel old, Ryan.
Yeah.
That team is full of now veterans.
They are, but you know what? I think with everything that happened with them last year, they might just need a little kick in the backside. He doesn't have to be the main leader, but he's going to bring some of that. His goal, I think, would be, hey, I want to win a championship, and how can we do that together? And I think that'll be a bonus compared to probably what they had this year with some of the animosity between Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Yeah, obviously Jordan Poole is now, he went to the Wizards, and Bradley Beal to the Suns, and then Chris Paul to the Warriors. If you're the GM, and and we don't really know, after Draymond knocked out Jordan Poole during the preseason, They still played together all season. It didn't appear, we don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but let's assume, or let's say, there was some animosity between those two. If you're the GM of the Warriors and you got to get rid of one of those two guys, you're getting rid of Jordan Poole or you're getting rid of Draymond Green. Obviously, the Warriors traded Jordan Poole. We don't know if it's because of what happened, but if it's you and you got to get rid of one of them, who are you getting rid of?
Well, I think you've won championships with Draymond, right? So I think that makes an easy decision. I think there was some other probably underlying issues maybe with the salary cap with Jordan Poole. But, if you want to win championships, as much as you can maybe dislike Draymond at times, he has found ways to win it with the Warriors.
And lose it.
So, maybe you're taking a chance either way, but you'd rather have a chance than no chance at all.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more of the Attack the Rack podcast. And welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast.
Well, hey, back to the NBA draft. We're Fairweather Detroit Pistons fans. What do you think about what they did with the draft, with their first-round pick?
Probably the route they had to go. I don't know if there's anybody else they could have chosen at number 5. With the twin brother, was it?
Well, the Asar Thompson is who the Pistons drafted, and his twin brother went right before him.
Correct.
Aman Thompson went right before him. So.
I just think he's probably the best. You're projecting, and when you're in that top 5 or even maybe 10, you're projecting the longevity of a career, the more of the potential than maybe what they've amassed so far. So I think that's what the Pistons. I think the Pistons had to take the chance. He was probably the next best candidate. Long guard, wing, probably shoots it a little bit better than his brother. Does he shoot it well enough to stretch the defense in the NBA for what the Pistons need to help maybe Cunningham out? Because I think he needs a little more space to play. So they could probably use another shooter. I don't know if they found that in this draft exactly. But a tall, athletic wing makes your team very versatile because you can play a bunch of 6'5", 6'7" guards that can potentially spread the floor if they can make shots.
I find it really interesting that the number 4 and number 5 draft picks, so the 4th and 5th best players out of everyone that's eligible for the draft just happen to be twin brothers. That seems a little odd to me.
Doesn't it? I guess you got to think about potential. You're talking about, what are they, 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah, I know, but it just so happens that the 4th and the 5th best player in the draft happen to be twin brothers. Something fishy's going on.
Oh, really?
Oh, come on! What are the odds of that?
I guess I didn't think anything of it. That's their best potential. If they both went to different colleges, or if they weren't twin brothers, but they were the same players, and they were drafted 4 and 5, you wouldn't say anything of it.
No, but they are twin brothers.
It happens to be that they're really talented.
I'm not saying they're not.
Well, I know, but if they're really talented, they're really talented.
I know, but what a crazy coincidence that out of all the players out there that are eligible for the NBA draft, the 4th and 5th best players are twin brothers.
I guess they got good genetics.
I'm not saying that. But how many hundreds of players are out there eligible for the draft? And it just so happens that the 4th and 5th best are twin brothers. It's just crazy to me.
Well, they played in that I don't know if it was a prep academy league. Still a bunch
overtime elite. Was that the team they played for? Sounds like an AAU team.
It's like a program.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. So I think they obviously were able to distinguish themselves better than maybe some college guys. I mean, obviously there were a couple of college guys that didn't get drafted. I think that
I mean-
probably don't fit the pro league anymore.
Right.
For sure.
Gonzaga, Drew Timme.
Tim.
I mean, I guess I never really heard too many, people saying, "Oh, he's a definite draft pick," but just kind of crazy, not drafted.
It's a game of potential in the pros.
It is. It's a lot different now than it was when we were growing up as NBA fans in the 80s and 90s, where you knew every player that was getting drafted.
Yeah.
So many players are you don't really know who they are. You've never really seen them play. Totally different than it was back when we were growing up. You knew every player that was getting drafted because every single player was getting drafted out of a college team, and every single player we had seen play for 3 or 4 years before they got drafted, and it's totally different now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a game of they're looking for what can be the next who can be the next great one, and not so much if you put in the time and showing because it's a different game, college to pros, and they're looking for that. I think that's just it's been a big change, right? Because you watch the draft, right? There's some of those names nobody stands out anymore. Like you're like, I wonder where this guy is. I mean, obviously the big ones you kind of know, but even unless you were a draft expert and really into the NBA right now, the two twins. I never watched the game of theirs overtime elite last year. So
you can't really tune into overtime elite games.
Well, I think they are streamed, but
well, I mean, not on your. You can't watch it on ESPN, TNT, or TBS. So anyway, way different. Used to you would become fans of these college players, and then you would be really rooting for them to get drafted and excited to see them when they get drafted. I remember when Steve Smith, even though I'm a Michigan fan, I was a big fan of Steve Smith at Michigan State. And I remember when he got drafted, and I was young and dumb and immature, probably 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was going crazy. And my dad was like, "Dude, calm down," It's just not. You just don't have that feel anymore because you don't have that connection with these guys that are getting drafted now like you did back in.
Yeah, well, you don't follow them for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
You get a chance to follow them for 1 or 2, and they're making the best decisions for themselves and their family. So you can't fault them.
Well, and it was nice to see that Imani Bates got drafted.
Yes.
He's had some issues, self-inflicted, of course, for sure. But when you're the number 1 player in the nation every year growing up, and then obviously no longer a top prospect, he got drafted mid-late second round.
Yeah.
Hoping that he can turn things around and have a nice career. We'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's too skilled not to. So as long as he can't get in his own way, I think he's got all the potential, right? And you're probably a high risk reward pick that late in the second round, mid-second round. And you're getting a kid that probably was 2 years ago was probably maybe could have been the top lottery pick.
If there was not the NBA draft rule where you have to be removed from high school for 1 year.
Yeah.
And remember, he graduated early, so he didn't even have a senior year of high school.
Yeah.
He went to Memphis after what was, his 3rd year of high school. If the NBA draft allowed players to be drafted at any point after that 3rd year of high school, he very well may have been the number 1 overall pick.
Oh, yeah. Would have been a nice payday for him. And he's still going to get a nice payday, and now he has a chance. He's got maybe a little chip on his shoulder. He'll be able to figure those things out because obviously he's a very talented, gifted.
Yeah. Who was it they got him? Cleveland, was it?
Cleveland, yeah.
Okay. I think they got a nice. I think they got a steal there. Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, hey. One other thing before we get to the top 3, have you heard anything about? I mean, we're 5-6 weeks or less from NFL camps opening. Still no word on Hard Knocks. Last year, I remember they announced the Lions were going to be featured on Hard Knocks back in like the spring, like March or April.
I wonder if they're just having trouble trying to pencil in who is the next. Because I think it's probably a fun thing for the fans to watch, but probably such a hassle for the NFL programs to be able to control that, deal with it, be able to have some reality, but also be able to hold some stuff back.
Yeah.
It's probably a tough decision as to. I mean, I don't know if they just get told they were coming here,
right?
Or if the team has to approve that.
Yeah. Well, the way it works is like the bottom teams. They really don't. The NFL can say, "Hey, you are going to be Hard Knocks."
Gotcha.
So I think it's either going to be the Jets. I think were one of the teams that really don't have a choice, and I think the Bears and the Commanders.
Yeah.
The NFL has reached out to the Detroit Lions though, requesting they do it again, and that would be awesome. I mean, obviously we're Lions fans, but Dan Campbell, incredibly entertaining, and I'm sure that's why Hard Knocks would like to have the Lions again. And I think it really worked out well for the Lions last year. Gave them some popularity, and really Dan Campbell just became a star.
Yeah, tough to do that. I think back to back. I think probably I could see the Lions being a little weary of doing something like that because there is such a pronounced maybe enthusiasm for this upcoming season for Lions fans. And now you're kind of maybe putting a little jinx on it.
Yeah.
I would decline and say, go do it with somebody else. As much as it'd be fun to see everything, let the Lions have their time. Hopefully their time is. I would rather be successful in the season than just be successful on Hard Knocks.
Right. Well, hey, and if it does come down to Jets, Commanders, or Bears, and I don't know who the bottom is, what that pecking order would be, but it would be. I would think the NFL, if it came down to those three teams, which I've heard it is, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I think that'd be an incredible storyline.
It would be interesting, and he's the guy that could probably take them quickly, change their fortunes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that would be interesting to see kind of what they're doing and how that moves into the season.
Yeah. Hey, all right. Let's finish up with the Ring Ryan top 3, brought to you by Realtor Ryan. Real Estate Ryan has been in real estate for over 20 years and can help you with all your real estate needs. Realtor Ryan has helped me in my journey in learning about real estate, and he can do the same for you, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn more about real estate in general. Ring Realtor Ryan. Again, we announced the winner of last week's top 3. It was the Whopper. Remember, I post these on the Attack the Wreck YouTube channel's community page. In order to get to that, you just go to the Attack the Wreck YouTube channel and you click on community, and it'll be this week's will be right at the top. Now, one thing I didn't realize is you only get 5 options for people to select.
Oh.
And obviously you do 3, I do 3, that's 6.
Gotcha.
So that's not going to work. So going forward, what we're going to do is it's going to be your 3 as like a team versus my 3 as a team. So there will be 2 options, Ryan's 3, my 3, and voters out there, you're going to vote for which 3 you think is the best. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So
give it a try.
All right. With that being said, Ryan, it is your week to select the top 3.
Well, I put some thought on this, and I'd love to go back to the fast food route, but I'm going to bypass that quickly here.
All right. Whatever you want.
We're going to go top 3 in the arcade games. So in arcade, top 3 games that you would play.
Okay. And remember, we don't discuss this beforehand, so obviously Ryan knew what he was going to probably do.
Yep, I did, Kurt. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now,
Okay.
off the top of my head.
So
put you on the spot.
Yeah, so these are going to come right off the top of the head. As always, Ryan, just to make sure that it's not me always going first or you always going first, we have a way to select who's going to go first. So I am thinking of a color. It's either red or blue. If you guess that color right, you can go first.
I'm going to go, just because we got these blue lights, I'm going to go blue.
Oh! So close.
Man.
So close. If you would have said red, you would have gotten it and you would be going first. So anyway, I guess I'll be going first. Top 3 arcade video games. And because now we are putting your 3 versus my 3,
Sure.
it can be in no particular order.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to start with NBA Jam.
Next one.
And that was so awesome in the arcade. I have NBA Jam for Super Nintendo, one of my favorite games of all time. But it was, in the arcade, it was incredible.
I'm going to go, Kurt, with probably not a classic, but one I used to play with my kids. It would be like a Jurassic Park shooting game.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So you'd sit in a little holder, and then you'd be fighting dinosaurs.
Oh,
so yeah.
That sounds fun.
No, it was fun.
All right, my second choice, Ryan. I gotta go with the classic Pac-Man.
Yeah, definitely on top of it. Definitely, and actually, that's probably the one I would have went with next.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to do the same one?
Yeah.
Are we? Okay, because I'm gonna go Pac-Man.
Okay, you're gonna go Pac-Man.
Yeah, because I think that's in my top.
So right now, Pac-Man with our squads cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So right now, you're kind of looking at NBA Jam versus Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. My third choice, my final choice, top 3 arcade games of all time. I'm going to go with Skee Ball. I love Skee Ball. In fact, I recently played it just a couple weeks ago.
Very nice. That is an interesting pick.
And Skee Ball is a game at most arcades that you can win tickets.
Definitely.
And then you can take those tickets and use them for a prize.
You can. All right, Kurt. Well, the last one I'm going to go with, and I think this is, again, back into the ticket realm, maybe.
Yeah.
Because in my back of my head, I was like NFL Blitz. Always kind of enjoyed playing that. I always enjoyed playing maybe some of the shooting ones, too. There was a Terminator game.
Yeah.
But that you bring up Skee Ball, I was like, you know what? Again, the time that I spent in the arcade the last 10 years was with my kids.
Yeah.
And so we always would play the briefcase game, which, what's it called? I just lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, we'll look up and make sure we get the title correct for the.
Man, what's the one where the Howie Mandel did on TV? Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal.
So you would play it, and then you would try to pick which briefcase was left and try to win like the most tickets. And my kids always had to play that multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was so exciting, the fact of choosing the briefcase. I was trying to find that right briefcase.
Right.
So I'm going Deal or No Deal.
Okay. So you got Deal or No Deal,
Yep.
Jurassic Park, and Pac-Man.
Sure.
I also have Pac-Man teamed up with NBA Jam and Skee Ball.
Yeah, it's pretty good list through there.
Yeah. Hey, any other ones that one classic arcade game that I always loved was air hockey.
Oh yeah, shoot. You always play that too.
Yeah.
I think more probably back in the day. I can't think about just being in the arcades the last 10 years. Anything. I mean, I think every time I went into an arcade, we also had to play the crane game.
Oh yeah.
You always had to try to get one prize out of that.
Yeah, which I bet you I've played that 30, 40 times in my life and I've never got a prize.
Yeah, exactly. So
All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up another episode of the Attack the Rack podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Don't forget to go to the community tab on the Attack the Rack YouTube channel and vote for which squad of arcade games you think is best.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Hey, we will see you on the next one.
Please subscribe to the Attack the Rack YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you are updated every time we post. Also, please like, comment, and share.